This is going to be a little bit of a short video. I'm sorry about it, but I'm so enthusiastic about these 2 short stories I've read in this Pulp magazine, Pulphouse Fiction magazine. And I'm so excited about this Pulp magazine that I can advise you get a copy of it for yourself. This is the 0 issue of the magazine, which includes stories that have been printed, I guess, in Pulphouse magazine before. Well, anyway, these are reprints. So this 0 issue, I only read 2 stories, but this 0 issue is just has the best stories in them. I guess, and I guess that from what I read, and I read these 2 short stories. Pulphouse magazine, this 0 issue is still available. You get it on Amazon, but also on the WMG publishing website. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And you gotta love the cover of this magazine. Mind you, it is a magazine of short stories in the tradition of the Pulp magazine, but it is printed on quality paper and has a quality glossy cover that doesn't easily get dog-eared. So why am I so enthusiastic about this magazine? Well, I bought it last year for my long ongoing Pulp project. And for this Pulp project, I read 1 or several short stories or sequels or, well, stories in short, since the Pulps have started, from a Pulp magazine anyway. But as I'm only for this project in the year 1905, and this is printed in 2017, it will take me a while to get to this magazine, and I was so keen to read this magazine that it is August, so it is GarbAugust, and in GarbAugust, more information about this fun reading event in the description box below, but in short, GarbAugust is the reading event that takes place in the whole of the month of August, where we celebrate all kinds of trashy fiction, pulp fiction, but also trashy non-fiction anyway. And there are weekly prompts, and I was going to read these 2 short stories for week 2. It is indeed week 2, and week 2 is shock value. So I thought, well, the titles Savage Breasts and Chrome Bimbos, well, they must have some shock value in them, as shock value can be, of course, extreme violence, but can also be sexploitation or some shocking sex kind of element in the story. But reading these 2 stories, Savage Breasts by Nina Kiriki Hoffman and Chrome Bimbos by Steve Perry, I didn't find it very shocking. I found it highly entertaining, both stories, I must admit, but I didn't find it suitable for the shock value prompt. So for this prompt, I will read, or I will review another story. So I'm changing the planning of GarbAugust a bit. And for the prompt pseudonym, I already had chosen a Chuck Tingle short story, Donald Trump, which sounded like really humoristic and fun to me. And I know Chuck Tingle is a pseudonym, so I wanted to tick off that box on the GarBingo card. But the short stories of many of the short stories of Chuck Tingle also have really exploitative sex scenes in them. So this can absolutely be shocking, experienced as and seen as shocking anyway. So maybe tomorrow or in a couple of days I will be reviewing Donald Trump by Chuck Tingle for week 2 shock value. But getting back to Pulphouse magazine, I laughed out loud when I read Savage Breasts by Nina Kiriki Hoffman. She also wrote fantasy and some young adult novels, but this is absolutely not one of those stories. I'm not going to spoil the plot because it's really a very short story, and it's easily spoiled the plot. But I must say, the title "Savage Breasts" does the story justice. I laughed out loud when I read this story. I found this just an excellent story, and it's really absurd, and my adult teenage brain just loved the humor of it. The timing of the funny bits are just excellent, and the plot I found just great. Less funny but equally as good is the story Chrome Bimbos by Steve Perry. And maybe you've read some of his Men in Black novels or watched the Batman the Animated Series, because he wrote scripts for Batman the Animated Series. But Chrome Bimbos is about the macho trucker world of the 1960s. If you're familiar with the trucker world, you might guess what Chrome Bimbos are, but I wasn't, and I didn't know what Chrome Bimbos were, and so I was completely surprised by the ending. Not that you might not be surprised by the ending if you do know what Chrome Bimbos are, but this story is set in the 1960s, and it has really it's really atmospheric, and I found it just excellent. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the plot for you. I enjoyed these 2 stories so much that I had planned, and I will read another short story from this magazine for the last week of GarbAugust, when the prompt is Apocalyptic Trash. And there's a story in it, a little song, a little dance, a little apocalypse down your pants, which sounds like a real fun story to me. I can tick off the box Modern Trash for the GarBingo card anyway, because this really didn't, to my feeling, didn't have enough shock value to cover this week's prompt. But like I said, I will fulfill the week's prompts shock value in a day or a couple of days ago when I read Chuck Tingle's Donald Trump. I'm convinced he can shock me. Well, keep those pulp juices flowing, and I hope to see you in the next video.